if you're struggling to make more money online right now, grow your business, grow as a freelancer, grow as an entrepreneur, whatever your situation might be, right? This is the reason that you're not making any progress, or at least not continuing to make any more progress, because of this one skill. And this is the skill that's holding so many people back from just pursuing whatever they want to pursue and achieve it, without even questioning it, to be honest. Because with this skill, once you've mastered it, you're able to just achieve anything you set your mind to. Whatever you want to do, whatever you want to try and achieve and visualize and imagine, you set your mind to it and you will achieve it, just regardless, because you've just mastered the skill. And all of the other attributes of why this skill is important is what other people try to explain to you and tell you, but it ultimately just comes back to knowing the importance of this skill, what this skill is, and why you need to master it so that you can just achieve anything that you set your mind to. So, again, it's very simple. It just comes down to your focus. That's what this video is about. But before you do click away, I want to explain the importance of focus and how it's helped me, get to the point where I'm signing an appointment per day for my agency. This is how I sign my first client, and it's how I'm consistently doing over 50 to 100 cold calls per day. As someone that hated cold calls to begin with, I, barely used to pick up 5 or 10 calls, being nervous, like zoochosis throughout my house, walking back and forth, just kind of wondering if they're going to pick up or hang up or whatever it might be. And now I'm at the point where I'm doing like at least 50 calls a day, if not 100 to 200 calls per day on a good day, and signing even 1, 2, or 3 appointments per day sometimes. So this is why focus is so important, because whatever your business is, whatever passion, idea you have, whatever business idea, this is why it's so important. And I do want to go over why multiple businesses aren't a good idea, why you want to focus on just one thing, because ultimately focus does come down to just one thing. And then finally, how you can use it to properly master everything you want to try and achieve in your life. So I'll get onto that in the end. So the first thing is that anybody that just understands what focus is at all, you will know that you cannot focus on multiple things at a time. Even if you are a multitasker, like, you are not literally doing multiple things at a time. Like, you may have mastered some skill of like managing to use 2 hands to do, I don't know, writing and cooking at once or sometime, whatever it might be. But for the most part, 99.99999% of the time for people, you aren't really multitasking. Right? You're just focusing on this for 2 minutes, then this for 2 minutes, then this for 2 minutes, right? You're not actually focusing on multiple things. So the first thing is to realize that. Realize that you don't multitask. You just do this thing, then this thing in short, spans of each other. But you need to expand on that and realize that if you want to try and achieve something, whatever you set your mind to, you just need to focus on that one thing until you have achieved X or Y result from it. Whatever you're trying to achieve right now, you need to just look at it like you are literally a child trying to work out a basic sum in maths, right? 1 plus 1 is 2. All that's basic stuff. You need to just literally look at the basics and go, right, well, I want to do this and I am currently here. So how do I actually achieve that? Okay, well, let me look at all of the simple basics I need to do. And of course, it won't necessarily be easy, but it will be simple to achieve. Doing 100 cold calls a day isn't easy. It requires a lot of discipline and consistency. But when I'm focused on 100 calls with the aim of booking an appointment per day, you just set the consistency and you just discipline to achieve it. And that's what you focus on. And that is why if you have split focuses, you're not going to achieve what you want to achieve. Now, obviously, I'll explain more of this at the end, but the caveat here is that most people think that, well, these multi-billionaire entrepreneurs have split focus. They've got multiple companies. I can do that. Okay, but what do you think was the reason they built those companies in the first place? Do you think that Elon had PayPal, SpaceX, Tesla all in one go? No, he had tunnel vision focus on one company at a time. Look at him building Tesla. Look at him building SpaceX. These companies are you know, were the most explosive, in their growth during the times of his hyper focus on them. He was putting like 120-hour work weeks into these businesses. He just was sleeping in the office like 4 hours a night, having complete focus on the job 100% of his waking hours and those times. Now he's built these multi-billion-dollar companies. And you can see this in any other example in your life. If you just look at any other business, yes, you might have these serial entrepreneurs that have multiple businesses and multimillionaires, but they're only multimillionaires. Now, of course, that's still an amazing financial, they're amazing achievements. And they've obviously built it up to multi-millions, 7, 8, 9 figures, 10 figures maybe. But imagine if they just focused on growing one of those businesses. Now, to be fair, most of the time, serial entrepreneurs have serial passions, serial interests, so they all focus on multiple things. They want to be in multiple sectors. It's just their passion and interest. But if you are wanting to grow one thing and just make one thing super successful, then you're not going to do that by having 5 or 6 different focuses and aims to build these big things up. So that's ultimately up to you. So if you do want to just focus on one thing, you will achieve that one thing. But if you want to make a decent business here, a decent business there, a decent business there, you're still going to have to focus on one at a time, and very, very, very well, with very, very sharp focus. But you will not grow them all as big as you could build one. And that's the most important thing to realize. You cannot focus on one business. You cannot focus on multiple businesses at once. Because in the end, you will focus on it entirely at the beginning until you can bring in somebody and pay them to be your focus for you. And then they just come to you when they have problems. And that's ultimately the game of like serial entrepreneurship in the end. So that's the main first thing is you're not going to have multiple you're not going to have multiple focuses on multiple businesses and multiple ideas at the beginning, because you have to have tunnel vision on that thing in order to get it to a point where you can bring in someone to be the focus for you. And that's what I think is like the secret to entrepreneurship anyway, is it's just a game of focus. You focus on it until you build it up to a point where you can keep taking off hats of the business, operations, management, accounts, service delivery, sales, until you can finally bring in somebody to be the focus of those areas. And then finally, chairman, executive hat, that's the pure focus on the business. Then you can step away and just handle the problems that come across it, or just grow it. And that's ultimately where focus goes. Now, obviously, like I said about, with focus, a lot of people will say that like it comes down to all these other areas that I mentioned, like consistency, discipline, and getting rid of other habits and eliminating procrastination. And that's very true. But when you realize that focus is just a game of, focus, it's just a game of having a narrow tunnel vision on one thing. When you just have your focus on being focused, and not to sound, not to be too kind of cliche or make no sense here potentially, you will just have unlimited focus. Because if you focus on the one thing and don't let anything else distract you, you'll achieve it. So by ignoring distractions, by getting rid of your phone, put in another room, if you have no other priorities, like if you're in a position that you can be grateful to be in a position for, like you have no other obligations, no other priorities for the most part, and you can focus on this one thing for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 hours a day, however long, you can focus on that one thing and you've got no other obligatory distractions. And that's insane. That's amazing for you. Now, obviously, if you've got family, you've got situations, obligations, responsibilities, of course they're going to get in the way, but it's the case of then managing your priorities. But with any position you're in, you just obviously want to be aware of whatever responsibilities and obligations you have, and just, use whatever time you have to realize your period of time you can focus and go tunnel vision on that one thing. Now, finally, coming back to kind of when you truly master focus, and like I said at the beginning about properly mastering focus and the great examples in life, you've got people like Elon Musk that have gotten tunnel vision on one thing, like Tesla or SpaceX, and now they have the ability where they have multiple businesses and they're multi-billionaires. You've got serial entrepreneurs that spent years and years and years focusing on one business at a time, and now they're in a position where they're a serial entrepreneur and they're multi-millionaires or billionaires. But how do they get to that point? Literally, it just came down to mastering focus. It came down to eliminating the distractions. It came down to basically having a why, having a purpose, having that interest, and having that desire to, Sometimes even pressure as well is a huge thing. I can get onto that in another video as well. But just coming down to knowing what they want to do and having no other aim other than achieving this one thing. So whatever you're trying to set your mind to, whatever you're trying to achieve, focus. Focus is the number one thing. Because regardless of skill, regardless of talent, regardless of discipline, execution, ability, if you don't have focus, then you're going to be completely lost. So I hope that helps. I can talk in much more detail about many other areas I've talked about in this video, but I've got many other videos. I've also explained these concepts and subjects on this channel too. So hope you enjoyed. Thanks very much for watching. Like and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. See you next time.